Okay, so Todd Anslinger from Chevron. I'm going to talk kind of about the end user benefits of Sparkplug and joining the Sparkplug working group. So, I don't know how many people in here are control system engineers, automation engineers? Okay, cool. And IT? All right, so really, or operations, whatever. So this is really kind of how I do it. I break it down into what does it mean to me. So if you're a control systems engineer, okay, great, you're going to probably relate with this. If you're IT person, now you're going to know what the OT person goes through. Okay, so that's what I'm going to try to break it down. That's kind of my job, is break it down into speaking to who I'm talking to. All right, but before I talk about technology, it's got to have a business problem we're solving, right? So what we're looking at Chevron, we want to reduce integration time in the PCN, reduce integration time in enterprise business systems, extend the life of low bandwidth Ethernet radio systems. That might be a little bit tailored to upstream oil and gas. Avoid running blind on day one of property swaps or acquisitions. I'll expand that. Part of our goal as Chevron is to modernize our PCN, okay, and the value around that. And then we have some business units that say, hey, we're going to double production without adding more people. So that means we have to do our work differently, right? We can't do it the same way we've been doing it. So before I ask this question of how many years we've been doing poll response in the PCN, I'm going to break it down and say, what is poll response, okay? So the automation engineer, they create let's say they're adding a tank in the PLC, all right? After they add that tank object there, they go to the touchscreen, add that object, and say, hey, I want to pull that tank level every second, okay? Then they go up to the control room HMI, add the object there, and say, hey, I want to pull that tank level every 15 seconds, every minute. They go to the polling server and they say, poll, I want to poll every 15 seconds. You poll the PLC, you get a response. Thus, poll response, okay? So now I'm going to go back. So starting at 10 years, who's been doing poll response in the PCN for 10 years, at least, or longer? Okay, 20 years? All right, 30 years? Okay, I know Wonderware has been around for 35 years, so I know it can be at least that. So, good, that gives me, let me set this right here for 35 years just to be safe. All right, everyone look right here. All right, now I'm going to switch to the wireless mic. Since you've forgotten what you've done for the last 30 years, how do you want it to work? How would you expect it to work nowadays? All right, nowadays to me, I want it to work like this guy, right? You turn it on, give it an IP address, and it just works. It just shows up. All right, so that speaks to this here. So Sparkplug, let's say you have a Sparkplug compliant PLC. You create your object in the PLC, all right? And you draw your circle on the PNID, everything around that, you create that object. When you hit save, it pushes it up to the broker, all right? And then at the broker, the control room sees, oh, I'm subscribed to tanks. Automatically pull that in, put it on the screen. Your Pi server, I'm subscribed to tanks. Automatically pull that in, put it into Pi. My local touch screen, I'm subscribed to tanks. Automatically put it in, and put it on the screen. You do that once, and then, if you're like Chevron, you go through a couple firewalls, broker to broker to broker, transit, and then get it up in the cloud. You do that once at the PLC level. Because all of us that have been doing this for 25, 30 years, what have we done? We create the object in the PLC, pump in the tank level, the pressure transmitter, the pump speed, all of that. Do that in the PLC. Okay, great, that's done. Go to the touchscreen, create an object, point it to the tank level, to this pump speed, to the pressure. Great, that's done. Go to the control room, create an object, point it to the tank level, the pressure. What are we doing? We're creating the same object 4 times. Oh, PyAF, same thing in PyAF. And then if we get that up into Azure, okay, maybe we can take advantage of the PyAF structure there, but we're creating that object 4 different times. That's ridiculous. Okay, we want to create that once at the lowest level possible and then boom, hit the button and it goes up. And you might say, okay, Todd, I've got old PLCs. They're not Sparkplug compliant. All right, well, talk to Don. He's got one Sparkplug compliant. I can connect you with people that has that. Or you add on an edge device and you do pull response right there, and then it's publisher subscriber from that point. Great. We can talk about how you do that. But the point is, create it once at the lowest level and use that structure all the way up through to the cloud. All right, so what observations did Chevron make? We took a stopwatch and timed our trained integrators on how to do that. To make it sound good, we're calling it Lean Sigma time measurements, okay? So we took competitor vendor PLC, HMI, touchscreen, versus single vendor PLC, HMI, and publisher subscriber. And one thing I don't have anywhere else is we compared the bandwidth across the radio, since we use a lot of low bandwidth radios. And since I don't have it anywhere else, we saw that poll response versus pub sub, we used 15% of our radio bandwidth, okay? That'll come up a little bit later. But since I'm a visual person, engineer, here's the diagram of the architecture it looks like. The left are the same, it's just competing vendors, same vendor. Right side is the pub sub, and this is a 4-year ago type thing, so the architecture would look a little bit different. So, but the thing that I want to show there is the pub sub isn't really apples to apples to the poll response, because you get the cloud piece automatically, all right? Automatically shows up on your phone. So what we did, we had a trained person develop, we had them add a tank object. So this was on an existing system, and we can extrapolate to a greenfield, which the benefits would be far outweigh. We added a tank object, linked it to the transmitter, did that in the PLC, did that in the touchscreen, did that in HMI, checked the box to push it out to Pi. Okay, done. 22 minutes. The single vertical vendor that has all those, take advantage of the common tag name database. I'm sure you've heard that, about half the time. And then pub sub, it was really just adding the tank object and hitting instantiate, boom, it just happened. So you can see in an existing system, 20% of the time, and it's really just that person at the PLC in the field that has to touch anything, versus your whole development community with the touchscreen integrators and control room integrators. So that was the Lean Sigma time measurements. So I want to get to now kind of wrap up, why should an end user use Sparkplug? First one, it has a birth certificate and death certificate. So the birth certificate is important because if other pieces of software understand that birth certificate, which is part of being Sparkplug compliant, when it says I'm subscribed to all pumps, it sees a new pump show up at the broker, it automatically pulls it in, adds it to your drop-down list. Okay, so the birth certificate is really important for that reason. More important from an operations standpoint is session awareness. Okay, we talk about in the Digital Transformation Council, your successes are great. Let me hear about your failures, okay? So I'll tell you about one of mine 20 years ago. We were hooked to a saltwater disposal, and the operator's looking at the screens, 25-foot tank, the tank level is 10 feet, great. He goes there for a day and a half, almost 2 days. Tank level is 10 feet, it's fine, right? Well, I didn't have any built-in way to know if I was communicating to that PLC or not. Actually, water had went over and hit the transformer, knocked out the power. There was nothing on the screen that said, you're not talking. So I'm sure you've seen the signs driving down the road, little signs, if you, in case of problem, call this number. Well, the control room operator gets the call, hey, I'm driving down the road here and there's water going across the road. And the guy realizes, oh, it hasn't changed for a day and a half because the power's out. Stale data, so environmental spill, right? That's why the session awareness is so critical for operations, and even more so inside of a plant. So that's my session awareness story. It accounts for hierarchy of our facilities in the topic, in the tag namespace. So if we didn't have that, in Chevron's case, it would be Chevron dot North America upstream dot Mid-Continent Business Unit, Permian Basin, Dripping Springs facility number 1, whatever. all that would have to be buried, open it up, bury it in the JSON scripting. I'm no JSON coder. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna ask anyone else to do that. That would be part of an adoption fail. So giving it that we can open that tag, pull that tag name and see all that context at the tag name level, big advantage. That's required actually. Sparkplug has been given to Eclipse Foundation to manage an open standard with other companies from varying industry segments, which means it's not proprietary, which means, I like to break it down, vendors will be able and interested in implementing Sparkplug because it's going to mean more sales for them, right? If we had a Chevron flavor of MQTT and we said, hey, Rockwell, hey, Emerson, please use this, please put this in your product, that's not going to increase their scales. They're going to politely say yes and then go down the road 8 years and nothing's happened, all right? So very important, and I kind of equate this to, remember Alan Bradley had ABCIP? They gave it to, that was Alan Bradley. So Emerson wouldn't do it, other people wouldn't do it. Well, they gave it to ODVA and it's now called CIP, Common Industrial Protocol. Now everyone adopts it because it's not proprietary. So same thing here, very important that it's not a proprietary protocol. Which leads to the next one, vendors have Sparkplug compliant PLCs right now. I don't know if you've heard, in the few that I was set in over the last couple of days, just about everyone said, I'm using Sparkplug. So very important, and PLCs can do it now, all kinds of edge devices can do it now. And then with the Sparkplug committee, having the test kit already there to validate that how compliant they are with the current spec, we don't have to spend time verifying the validation, right? So another big piece that is already handled for you. Common specification. So this one here is my ploy, not ploy, Todd's wish, maybe not Chevron's wish, Todd's wish that Sparkplug would be the new Modbus, all right? If everyone has Modbus in the field. If, we do a lot of property swaps with, let's say, Oxy in the Permian Basin. When we swap with them on day one, we don't have our SCADA system built out to there to talk to that site, right? If Oxy had Sparkplug on there, and granted, they're gonna have different objects than we have, I understand that, but if they had a cellular connection, we could just spin up a broker in the cloud, point it to there, and we have those tank levels coming in, the day we take control of that facility, instead of having the operator drive out there every day to make sure the tank level is not going to overflow before the next day. So again, I'm trying to break it down into work process changes, but that would make it easier to where we could quickly publish it and get all the data coming in without having to go 40,001, 40,003, 40,007. So, which we can do, but just takes 150 times the time. Low bandwidth usage on a radio system. So you saw that I said 15% bandwidth usage from poll response. So we've kind of tried to skirt around that, for years with, instead of, around one tank level, you're gonna have alarm, high, 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 low, low, low set points. The discretes for the alarm could have a P&ID loop parameters. So what we do is we break it into fast poll, medium poll, slow poll. Fast poll, we get that tank level coming every 15 seconds, all right? Medium poll might be our alarm discretes. Okay, we'll pull those every minute. Then slow poll is gonna be your P&ID parameters, your set points, that type of thing, to try to get around that bandwidth so we don't have to upgrade our slow Ethernet radios. Now, I say low bandwidth, it could be poor connectivity also. If growing up, you probably dealt with this if you're upstream. Your PEs are looking at these nice trends, boom, 0. What did that mean? We lost communication to the facility. We spent a lot of time chasing that. Sparkplug has store and forward built in. You lose communication to your facility, when it comes back, it backfills that data. So no zeros in your trends. May seem trivial, but very important for operations. And then, of course, the last one. Your data just shows up when it's instantiated at the lowest point, which is part of our modernization of our PCN that we want to get to. So that's why to use Sparkplug. Now, why to join Sparkplug? All right, first one, drive the functionality of an open standard. All right, add your piece into it. If it's valuable to other people, we're going to make the change. For instance, I know Jose called and said, hey, we need to add a file transfer into this for this file.
And we were like, okay, yeah, we see the value in that. Let's go ahead and do that. It didn't take one of a Chevron person to do all of that, all right? It's an open standard. We saw the value in it, so therefore we go forward. Next one is you drive the open standard for a fraction of the cost of paying someone a salary to create and maintain your own flavor of MQTT that no vendor will adopt, which is hashtag not plug and play. So, you can imagine paying someone $200,000 a year to create and maintain year after year after year. That's a waste of time and money, especially if that guy goes to work for Google, right? Because they will eventually when you don't give them something fun to do. So have, or AWS, sorry if you're AWS. So that's the value. That's why I do it. And then, you can click there, raise your hand, Frederick, talk to Frederick to join. And now I'm going to reverse flashy thing you.